Hi, I'm Christian.
And I'm Angela, and we are married
And bored. Hey everyone, welcome again to episode 16.
It's the first time we've done episode 16, actually.
Well, welcome to episode 16 of the Married Board podcast. I meant again, welcome back.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So anyways, episode 16, we're here. Hope everyone is doing well out there.
Staying safe.
But we're here to talk about games.
Yes, we
Because
are.
what else are we going to do?
Games are saving our lives right now, you guys.
Can't go out. Oh!
Mental health, games, keeping your mind alive and young since forever.
Yeah, since Mancala.
Yes. Which is what we're going to be talking about today.
No, let's not talk about Mancala. Let's rein it back in. Let's focus. Let's center.
Focus for the people. We are glad you're here. We are going to be doing something a little bit different today, reminiscent of episode 5 of our podcast, which was the Star Wars episode.
Yeah, if you've been a fan of ours for a while, which I know you have been. Episode 5, we talked about Star Wars. We had to make it a big episode because there's so many Star Wars games. And so we talked a little about a lot.
Correct. And we are going to do that again, but this time we are paying tribute to Ravensburger.
Yeah. Or I like to call it a walk down the Target aisle.
The walk down the Target aisle, where a lot of Ravensburger games will be found.
That's right.
So we're going to focus on 3 big ones, which we'll describe later.
Yeah, but first let's start the way we always start. Angela, what's up with you?
All right, guys, we got some big news over in our neck of the woods. Our friendly local game store has opened back up.
Really?
As of May 4th.
May the 4th be with you. That's why they did it.
Maybe. On May 4th, I think their very first day back open since COVID-19 struck the scene in the U.S. was you had to have a specific order. So it wasn't curbside service, but you had to know exactly what you were getting and check out. You couldn't browse the store, right?
Yeah, where we live in Arizona, and they had like a tiered opening here for like all small businesses like that. So you had to be able to do like a curbside pickup for a couple days, and then today they opened fully their doors to, I think what they're doing is just a limited amount of people in the store.
Masks
required. Just stuff like that, as I would expect most businesses to have for a while as we come out of this quarantine stuff.
Yes, and regardless of opinions about if it's too soon or if it's not soon enough or we should wait, I think the thing that was surprising to me is how much joy it struck in me when I heard that the friendly local game store was back open, even though we haven't even been there yet.
Yeah, I worked today, and we are recording this on a Friday, so I was working, and I told Angela, maybe you should just go, and I'll give you a list of stuff that you can go look for. Take the kids. You can handle it.
Yes. So needless to say, we did not do that. I did not face mask the kids and myself and go in, but it was a lot of joy just hearing that. Yes, that it's open, but also that it survived. I think that was a big worry of mine.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't even know what it would be like to be in a situation like that, to own a small business, but we hope the best for all of them, and we are happy that they're open and excited to go back.
Yes. So that's pretty much the thing taking up my mind in this gaming news, but I know you probably have a few things up your sleeve.
Yeah, I've been playing games, been watching games online, of course. Ankh, the big Kickstarter ended. I know there was another huge Kickstarter, Frosthaven, broke like the record for the most money raised by a board game or something like that.
That's right. It was like 10 million?
Well, I think it was more like 12.9 or something crazy.
Wow.
But we decided to go ahead and back Ankh, which is kind of like a spiritual successor to Blood Rage, which is not your favorite, but I enjoy that game, and we are both looking forward to playing this one. We like the ancient Egypt vibe.
Yes, it just looks very cool. I am a little nervous about the mechanics being too much like Blood Rage, but we shall see. I'm willing to give it a shot.
If I were to guess, I would say it's very different. I mean, me personally, I don't like looking into how it plays. I'm a very, like, visual game buyer.
Yes.
So if it looks really cool, I will get it. But if it's anything like Blood Rage or the one after Blood Rage, which was Rising Sun, those two play very differently. And so I'm guessing that this one will be even more different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's cool.
Yeah, we're excited for that. We have to wait. Only have to wait till March 2021.
Oh, is that all?
That's it.
Oh, just 1 year.
And then another thing that I've been doing is I've been playing a little bit of video games just to pass the time. You do some evening Zoom calls from time to time with some girlfriends, and you have obligations and meetings and stuff. So I've been playing The Witcher, which is a show on Netflix, which is great. And that show got me back into playing this game. And then I remembered that there's a board game about The Witcher as well. It has just made me want to play that game, the board game.
When was that released?
It was a few years ago. I think it's, and a few years ago now, I mean like 6 years ago. I think it was like 2014. So it's really old in terms of board game life. But I've known it's been out there for a while. I don't think it has good reviews. You can't find it anywhere, but I'm just like a little bit intrigued on what you would do.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's about it. It's been fun to play that game and like see stuff that was in the show and kind of look at pictures of the board game.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 visually stunning games, I think. Maybe not stunning, but visually they will suck you in that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, these are pretty fun games, pretty light games. But we're going to take a quick break and we will jump into our main segment.
See you then.
All right, so let's just jump into it here. We had mentioned earlier that we were going to talk about a few games that we picked up and that you can pick up at Target if you're looking for something to do in this quarantine or if you're looking to expand your game library. These are all by Ravensburger or Ravensburger. I've heard it said both ways, actually, in podcasts and YouTube videos.
Okay.
So I don't know. I like Ravens because that's more mystical.
I feel like that's what I've always called it, but now I'm second guessing myself.
No, I think either way is fine. And if they call us and tell us one way or the other, we'll switch it.
Yes, we'd love a call from them.
So what we want to do in this episode is a little bit different than our normal flow of an episode. We're just going to kind of hit some big picture topics and what those are, what our favorites are about this game, or what our least favorites are, and maybe a reason or two on why you should pick this up.
Yeah, and through talking about our favorite and least favorite, you'll probably hear our 5 categories come out in there. We're just not going to be specifically going through each category one by one. So if you're used to our normal format, you'll understand what we mean when we say our categories. If you're new, welcome. And our normal categories talk about the ease of setup and teardown, how accessible it is learning to play, how immersive is the experience, how fun is it, and what type of fun, and is it worth it? So those are the 5 categories we usually hit. We're going to be talking about those within the category of favorite and least favorite things about the game.
Sure. So why don't we start with our first game, and this is a game that if you have been to Target, you have probably seen. They have, I think, like 16 expansions already for this game. This one definitely caught our eye the first time we saw it because we are huge, well, we're a Disney family. I feel like you're either a Disney family or you're not.
True.
So this one is called Villainous, and it's all about the bad guys of Disney. Ange, what is this game?
I feel like we should also say these games can probably be found at Walmart. Target's just our preference, but you could probably find this game at Walmart as well. Villainous is a 2 to 6 player competitive game set in the world of the Disney villains, as Christian mentioned. Each player is going to take on the role of a famous Disney villain and try to achieve that villain's specific objective, which is different for every single villain. All the while, hero cards that pertain to that particular villain's world or movie, if you think about it that way, will be trying to stop his or her progress. And the villains in the original set that you can be are Jafar, the Queen of Hearts, Maleficent, Prince John, Ursula, and Captain Hook.
Yeah, there's a lot of classic bad guys in that first set.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's pause here and let's talk about Villainous and how we feel about it.
Yeah, do you want to start with what we don't like or what we like?
I'll leave that up to you, and I'll let you go first.
Okay, cool. So I will go with what I like about this game. And I have two things that I think of when I think of Villainous. One of my favorite things about Villainous is that no matter who you play, whatever bad guy you play, and if it's one of the expansions, which we'll touch on at the end of our little chat with Villainous, no matter what villain you choose, they all play very differently. Their goals are different. How you achieve the goals are very different. And so it's, for someone like me who enjoys that new experience, you can have that fairly often in a game like this. I can choose to be Jafar, like I played recently, and then if I don't want to be Jafar anymore, I'm not going to perfect it anyways. I'll jump over and play Ursula, and the mechanics and the win conditions are all different.
In that way, that sounds a lot like how you described what you liked about Root.
Yeah.
Is that each character's so different.
Yep.
The mechanics are completely different than Root, but it gives you that new experience without having to buy a new game.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things now. And then another favorite is probably my number one favorite thing is I just like looking at this game. The cards are all amazing. The art is great. And even what gets me is the back of every card. It has just this crazy unique design for each different villain. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, I don't know, I really like that.
Yeah, I would agree. The art is really cool. It's fun to look at. I know we're not to my part yet, but I will say, just playing off what you said, is that's what makes me want to buy all the expansions.
Yeah, me too.
Just to see the characters and the art.
Yeah, and that's why I am tempted to get them as well, because they are all familiar characters. Some of them are even from newer movies. Like, I think one of the expansions has the villain from Tangled. So you can be Mother
Gothel.
Yeah, you can be Mother Knows Best, right?
Yes.
So that's...
Mother Knows Best.
There it is. So, yeah, always tempting to buy one of those. Now, unfortunately, we don't play this game a lot, so that's where the debate in our head goes, whether or not we buy these expansions. Angie, you want to talk about a couple of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, the two that you've said are also ones that I agree with. I'll try to jump in with different things. I like that it's immersive. Now, artwork plays into that for sure, and the Disney world plays into that. And what I really like about it is that you feel like your character's goal is so perfect for who they were in the movie. So our most recent playthrough, you were Jafar.
Yep.
And his goal was to...
Yeah, my goal is to find the lamp and then take it to the palace. But I also have to have the genie under my control, which you basically, in this game, you have to hypnotize the genie.
Right, which sounds exactly like the movie.
Yeah, they all play out exactly like the movie. It's pretty cool.
Yes. So I really like that immersive part of it. I also really appreciate how it's easy to set up and tear down. There's not much to it. You just take out the few player boards and you have a couple decks to shuffle, but there's really no huge play space that you need to make room for. There's not many cards that Christian loves to hate. And it's not time consuming to take it all apart and put it back in the box either. So that helps us as parents of young kids who just need to get a game going and then pack it away.
Yeah, that's true. I think those are some of mine as well.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about maybe the other side of the coin.
Yeah, let's do that. One of my least favorite things about this game is playing this game.
Oh. Explain what you mean.
I just don't have fun playing this game. I would much rather, like, I am totally fine taking this off the shelf, looking at the cards, and just being like, these are so neat. And then packing it back up and putting it back on the shelf. Like, I just don't enjoy the mechanics and the outcomes. I just feel like winning is so anticlimactic. The way you interact with other players, you really don't. I mean, there's a little bit of that when you have to put hero cards in to mess them up. But you just get to choose a card and you just put it on their board. So there's not a lot of player interaction. So I just don't have a fun time playing this one.
Right. Yeah, so one could argue that you want to know what I'm doing so that you know if I'm close to winning, which, yes, I get that, of course. I also think I could just not pay attention to what you're doing at all, and that could be a valid strategy as well. You're right, there's not a lot of...
Well, yeah, that happened the last time we played when I was Jafar. I was just like, okay, I won. And you were like, oh, you did?
Well, right, because there's only so much... Well, maybe at that time. There's only so much brain power you can have, and you have to decide, like, am I going to spend my actions and my turns trying to mess you up? Mm-hmm. Or am I going to try to achieve my goal? And yes, there's a balance to that, but I felt with the specific character I played and the specific actions that character could do, I was better just concentrating on my own.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the only one that I really have. Unfortunately, it's a huge one. So, like, I feel like for me, if I say, like, oh, well, the pieces are too small, it doesn't really mean much if it's still not a fun game.
Right. Yeah, there's not really recovering from the fact that you don't think it's fun. And it's probably, I mean, is it the mechanics, you think?
I think the main part of it is the mechanics. I feel like this could just be a solo game. Like, I feel like it is. You and I are just sitting at the table both playing Disney bad guys, but okay. Like, who cares?
Yeah, the solo game aspect is very intriguing because I feel like it does, the way we're describing it, it sounds a lot like Wingspan in its play style. Like, and that has an automa. Mm-hmm. This could probably very easily have an automa.
Well, I'm sure there are some out there on BGG and other places, but I just haven't looked into it.
Not marketed for within the game.
And with that said, me not enjoying this game, I'm still willing to, like, buy the expansions just so I could see them, right?
That's how intriguing it is. And yes, we are a Disney family. We said that.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring it totally down, but Angela, do you have any negatives that you wanted to touch on?
Yes, I would say that I agree with the things you were saying, although I don't think I'm quite as negative in the fun factor as you are. I still have fun once I play it. I can appreciate it for what it is, and maybe it scratches kind of a solo game itch. Honestly, now that you're describing it that way, it never occurred to me, but I think it does hit the solo part of my brain.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, a few times we were playing, I didn't even know you were done with your turn. Like, you did your thing really fast, and I was like, is it my turn? Oh, yeah, I've been done for a minute. Okay.
Yes.
Like, there's no indications.
No, because you're just not, it doesn't inspire, like, working together, which are things we usually appreciate in a game. And not to say there's not a place for games like this, but it is kind of lacking in that way. And so I can still have fun with it if someone brings it to the table, or if, every once in a while we bring it to the gaming table, like once or twice a year. I won't be upset, but it's not something I would choose to probably play most of the time.
Yeah. And so with that glowing review of Villainous, we realize that there are games out there for anybody, and anybody can like any games.
Yes.
Why would somebody want to buy this game if they just saw it on the shelf at Target like we did, knowing nothing about it?
Okay, well, here's the biggest thing, I think, is that you see it on the shelf at Walmart and Target, and you're like, wow, that looks really cool. And honestly, even with the huge negatives we described, like not even liking the style of the game, we're still interested in buying the expansions for the artwork alone.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think it deserves a spot on someone's shelf for that only, just to kind of support that. The cards are so cool. The little player boards, they're all very unique to each of the bad guys.
And you know what I like thinking about? And this is kind of a tangent, but why we want to accumulate these expansions. We've talked about this way in the past. When they made their first expansion to Villainous, we played the game of, in our own minds, who do you think the villains are? And what do you think their goal is?
Yep.
Because it's so tied to the movie. So we're like, oh, okay, so if you're Scar, definitely your goal is to kill Mufasa and take control of the Pride Lands. Now, I don't know if I'm saying that correct, but I know that
it's probably pretty accurate.
That's what we came up with. So it's kind of a fun guessing game. We want to it's like a mystery blind bag. We want to open it.
Yep.
And then once it's open, it's like, why did I buy this toy?
We're never going to use it.
Okay, and I also will say that someone would probably enjoy buying this if they had older kids.
Yeah, I can see enjoying this more when our kids are older, like 8, 9, or 10 years old. Somewhere in that range, I think it'd be more enjoyable.
Yeah, and our kids are used to strategy games. They've seen them from a very young age, so I think that 9 or 10 is not too big of an ask for our kids to probably dive into this game. I don't know that that's the actual age on the box.
It doesn't. Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a good thing for a Disney family to have.
Yeah, and if this game sounds like something you might like, but you just can't do the Disney thing, they are making a Marvel version of this game too. So you can be the Marvel bad guys. I don't know who that is. I know it has Thanos' outline on the box, like his silhouette. So there's probably a bunch of others, but it's the same game with a different cover.
Right. And it is still Disney, right?
I mean, technically, I guess you're right.
But it's different Disney. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's out there if you're thinking of the game in any... It kind of reminded us of like a really stripped down Scythe, the mechanics of the game, where you're just placing your pawn and you're performing the actions at that area of your board.
Yeah, it's got a lot of pieces from... a lot of little pieces from different games, which is, I guess, a positive. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a quick... And it's a difficult game, and if that does it for you, then definitely give Villainous a look.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, so that is Villainous. If you agree with us or disagree with us on Villainous, definitely let us know.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, on Instagram. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe we're missing the boat on Villainous, because there are a lot of fans out there. I mean, we are fans of this game, just not
super fans.
Fans maybe. Of playing it, unfortunately. Well, speaking of missing the boat,
ooh,
this next game has a lot to do with boats. This is a great game. It's got beaches. It's got jet skis.
Yes.
It's got fishing boats. It's got police officers. It's got beach babes. It's got an island.
Is this Baywatch, the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Hasselhoff's, I don't know. This is Jaws.
Jaws.
Based on the movie Jaws.
Well, shall I take it from here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Jaws. It's a competitive game for 2 to 4 players. It's played over the course of 2 acts. One player is going to take on the role of the shark. The remaining players, or just player, will take on the role of characters from the movie. Act 1 is a giant hide-and-seek at Amity Island, and Act 2 is more combat-based in and around the Orca ship. The characters from the movie, besides the shark, that you'll be seeing are Hooper, Quint, and Brody.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is one that I got for, I think, my birthday, right? A few months back.
Yeah, it was, again, we usually shop at Target, and I saw it for $15.
Yeah, it was on
I picked it up.
Yeah, it was clearance, which I've had my eye on this one for a while, because one of my favorite things about this game is how it starts. It starts as a hidden movement game, which if you have played Spectre Ops or one of our games that we haven't played in a while, Fury of Dracula.
Which I love.
Yeah. This is a mini version of that. Someone is the shark, but the people who play the humans don't know where the shark is.
It's lurking in and around.
And he swims around and he eats those beach babes and swimmers from the beaches and gets points for doing so.
All the while, the humans are trying to get some buoys around him.
Yeah,
some barrels.
Hunt down the shark. I did kind of jump into it already, but like that is one of my favorite things about this game, is that the hidden movement. It's just it's a good introduction to this type of game.
Agreed. Yes.
And now that I think about it and I'm talking about it, I do really like these types of games, and I wish that we played more of them.
Hidden movement games.
Yeah. I think there are some out there that we haven't played. I know there's a Lord of the Rings one that could be good, where you're hiding from the Black Rider people. I can't think of their names. Help me out, nerds. And then Fury of Dracula is one we had since the beginning of our board game, adventure.
Yeah.
That we just don't get to the table as much. But yeah, hidden movement, it's really fun. So that's one thing I really do enjoy.
Yeah.
Another thing is the different acts. I think it's really cool how once you complete the first act, which is just about hunting the shark, or if you're the shark, hunting the people, it flips over to just another part, you flip the board over and then you're on the boat. So if you've seen the movie, at the very end of the movie, they go out on that boat to hunt the big shark. And that's kind of what you're playing out.
It's more combat, less hidden movement.
Yeah, and so one cool thing is if the shark does really well in the first act, they get more bonuses in the second. And that is also switched for the humans. So if they do better than the shark in the first act, they have more bonuses.
Right. So there's an advantage going into the second act.
Yeah. In our most recent play, you caught me so fast. I took 2 turns, and you're like, there you are. Boom. You had 2 buoys attached to the shark, which means switch to the next act. And my bonus was like almost nothing. And you got like 10 cards to add to your stack of combat cards.
Yeah. I mean, in your defense, I think there was a margarita or 2 in you, so...
Yeah, that's true. Cinco de Mayo.
No, but I did catch you pretty quick. I think there was a time where you used a special ability, and because of your movements, I deduced like which special ability it was and exactly where you were.
Yeah,
so
Sherlock Holmes over here.
Don't play with me, warning. Yeah, that is one of the things I love about this game as well. I love the 2 acts, and I don't think that I would ever do this now, knowing that we love both sides, but the game and the rules do tell you that you can play each act as a separate game in and of itself. So that could be one big or I guess something that someone would appreciate about the game. If they wanted it to be shorter, they could just play one act or the other, or if they had a true preference of one act versus the other, they could just do Act 2 or Act 1, and you would still get the entire theme of the game, which leads me into, again, one of the things that I really appreciate about this is, yes, it's set in a already made up world.
Yeah, it's
movie
it's
of
an established
Jaws.
play, right? Yeah.
So I feel like it's really thematic. You feel like your characters are on Amity Island trying to get rid of this shark, or locate it at least. And then they have abilities that make sense for their characters. I even found myself thinking at certain points during Act 2, like when it said, place your characters anywhere on the ship. And I asked Christian, I was like, all right, well, where would this character be? Probably out on the front smoking a cigar. Or, it was very thematic like that for me. It drew me in, made me want to watch the movie. This would be another one that would be great to have music in the background, which I think we might have mentioned for Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth. It just sucks you right into the Amityville or Amity Island.
Yeah, I agree. It's very thematic, and it plays as such. You kind of play out the movie, which is really cool. way more so than like the Disney villains, because there's people on the map, there's swimmers getting taken away. When you switch to the boat, there's pieces of the boat that fall off.
Yes.
You get stuck in the water, the shark gets you. There's a lot of cool thematic events.
Mm-hmm. And there's no way to play this separately like you could Villainous, where Christian was mentioning that one time where he didn't even know if my turn was done. You have to be, you're both very centered on what's happening on the game.
Describe it.
Now, it is competitive, and I feel like it has the potential to be mildly to extremely frustrating, depending on how you get along with the person you're playing with, what kind of relationship you have, and just because advantages can carry over into Act 2 or disadvantages can carry over into Act 2, and it can be frustrating as the characters of the movie, well, the human characters, to not ever find the shark in Act 1.
Yeah.
Or just struggle to find the shark and struggle to hit the shark in Act 2. I know it's probably frustrating as the shark if you just like keep getting found.
Oh yeah, that was the worst part about the last time we played. Getting found after 2 turns. Like I didn't get to do anything. And then I was at a huge disadvantage going into the second half of the game.
Now, it didn't spark any arguments for us, and I don't think it really ruined the fun factor, but I can see where it might have the potential to be highly frustrating.
Yeah, I had so few like bonus cards that I didn't even look at them. Because I was just like, what's the point? I can only use each of these once. So let's just play and see how it goes. And then if I get close, I'll bust out the bonus cards.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about some things that we didn't like as much.
Yeah, I think that's one of them is like the balance of power going into Act 2. If you play this with somebody who's played before, on either end, they could really just find the shark super fast, and then they get a ton of bonuses going in. Or the opposite, the shark could eat 19 people from the beaches, and then he has, or she, has a ton of,
advantage, shark abilities.
Yeah, shark bonuses to going into that next one, which can really frustrate the other team.
I agree with that. I would also say that I don't think this is a very accessible game for people who are new to strategy games. I don't know why I feel that. Like, I don't have hard evidence where we've tried to teach this to somebody that isn't used to strategy games and we saw that it failed miserably. But I just feel like to them, it might appear that there's 2 full strategy games that are very different. Now, we can see similarities in it, kind of like our discussion with Villainous, because we've played so many games. We can see how they're connected. We can appreciate the theme, and that helps us tie those pieces together in our brain. But I feel like this would be a lot for someone who's new to games to keep track of.
Yeah, it's almost like learning 2 games in one because they are so different between the 2 acts.
And maybe I mean that it would be hard to be successful.
I can see...
Not to just play it, but hard to be successful because I've only been the human characters, and you've only been the shark.
That's true. We haven't switched.
And so when you're the shark, what I'm thinking about is the human characters, and this is specific to Act 1. I'm thinking, okay, if you played a shark ability, which ones would you have what are the 4 options? And then I deduce backwards from there if I can, based on were people at the beach eaten, and what beach, and were multiple beaches eaten, were multiple people at different beaches eaten. So I deduce a lot of things, and I think that someone who's new to strategy games would just be like, crap, people at the beaches were eaten. Where is he?
Yeah,
but they
that's true.
wouldn't be able to like put pieces together, not because they're dumb or not intelligent, but we're used to doing multiple things at once.
Yeah, I never would have done that, by the way.
Right.
I never would have done that. But another thing to keep in mind, though, is that this game is not specifically for 2 players. So with it playing 2 players, you have to take total control of that other team. Normally, one person is a shark, and then if you're new, you only have to learn what that one character does. So that it does have that going for it. It's not crazy hard. You're only worrying about what your blue character does and what the mechanics of that are.
True. And as you talk, I feel like what I meant to say was, it's not hard to learn, it's hard to be good at.
Yeah, I agree. I was obviously very terrible at it last time we played. But I do remember a few times previous to that, I was a shark and I was eating people left and right.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
All over the place.
And you know where I failed at that one was I wasn't used to what the characters were good at doing. And I was trying to have them, I can choose which order they go in. And I was having them go in an order that wasn't as efficient to finding the shark.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's a lot to unpack if you're... There's more strategy, I feel like, than villainous.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And I would say for us specifically, because I take this quite literally, it was worth it. Because it was $15 and I think there's a lot of replayability because of the hidden movement aspect. It's going to be a new game every time.
Yeah, I would play Act 1 over and over again before playing Act 2. Act 2 is just so different, and it's not as engaging to me because it is so scripted on what happens. Act 2, or Act 1 as the shark, I feel like you can just do whatever you want as long as you stay away from the bad guys.
Yeah, that's true. And it does, like, I want to play it again to be the shark and you be the character, the human characters. And
yep.
Yeah, so someone would buy it because...
I think... If you're a fan of this movie, you have to have this game.
Right.
Now, we watched this movie late in our lives. I feel like it's an older movie. We didn't grow up watching Jaws and getting caught up in that, getting scared of swimming because of this movie.
No.
But we watched it. We appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, if you're just looking for a good version of that movie as a board game, it is great. If you're interested in hidden movement games, but you don't want to dive deep into like a Fury of Dracula, Spectre Ops, this one is a very easy entry to that genre.
I would agree. Okay.
And plus, it's more fun than Villainous.
It is more fun than Villainous.
You can probably tell by the way we're talking about it. So Jaws, I have a lot of fun playing this game, and I am excited to play it more and with more people.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's jump to the next game, Angela.
Okay, well, you are about to enter Jurassic Park.
Yes, welcome
to
Jurassic Park. That would have been the perfect transition.
Oh, I missed it.
Yep.
All right, Jurassic Park is a competitive game for 2 to 5 players. One player is going to take on the role of the dinosaurs and try to eat the other players, who take on the role of movie characters trying to escape the island. And before they escape, they have to do different things based on who their character is.
Yeah, and I think the full title of this game is Jurassic Park Danger.
Ooh.
Which really adds so much more to it.
It does.
Because dinosaurs themselves, they're not dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, it's by having dinosaurs in your game, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the movie, you know everything's going to go wrong.
Everything is going to go wrong. That is very true.
So this one is probably the oldest of the 3 games that we're talking about today. And I remember I was very excited for this game because Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies. That first Jurassic Park movie, I remember was like my first PG-13 movie that I got to go to with my dad. He'd brought me to that because it came out in 92 or something. And
right.
I think I was like 10, and I was really excited to go, and I was really nervous as well.
What holds a special place in your heart?
Yeah, and it'll probably come out in how I talk about the game too.
All right, well, do you want to jump in then?
Yeah.
You tell me, what do you like about this game?
So there's a couple of things that I really like. I really like how it looks. And what I mean by that is the board is shaped like the Jurassic Park island. I think that is very cool. It's very Catan-esque, and it has these outside like borders that you put together like a puzzle. And then inside is a bunch of hexes, just like Catan. And then so every time you play, it's a little bit different. So maybe the Velociraptor cages were over on the left-hand side the first time, and then the next time they're on the right hand. So there's a lot of replayability there. I do like that. And then I do just like, I feel like with this game, if you were a character in this movie, you're in this game. They have so many characters that you can choose to be in this game, and they all play differently, which is great. Their goals, well, they don't play differently, but their goals are different. So there's always something new to do when you're playing this game. Yes,
each character has to fulfill their goal, and then collectively as a team, they have to turn on three, the maintenance shed, the control center, visitor center, I think.
Yeah, it's
three areas of the island.
Yeah, you're playing the movie as it folds out, which is really cool. I think you can make some cool stories in this game. Like, remember when Tim almost made it to there, but then the raptor,
Yes.
There's some cool stories that can be told.
Yes. So this is kind of jumping our format a little, but I'm going to say that one of my least favorite things is what you just described is the board. I can't stand the warping of the pieces. I remember this happening with Catan when we used to own Catan and play Catan a lot. Everyone who's played Catan knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're just shaking your head in disgust.
Yeah, those outside connecting pieces.
Those outside connecting pieces just like warp a little bit. So then the hexes like slip under them instead of staying inside. And then you have to like, okay, well, somebody hold this side because I've got these three hexes in, and then I'm going to try to shove these hexes in, and it's just like a puzzle, which Ravensburger is known for making.
They're known for their puzzles, but most of their puzzles are flat.
Yeah. So I don't think this was intended. I think that's a warping issue.
I feel you on that. I think it's very frustrating. Like, I remember when we were putting it together the last time, and we were both holding down a side, and we're like, it won't stay down. And then finally we got all the pieces in it, and we were just waiting for it to like explode up.
Just pop up.
Yeah.
It didn't though, so there we go. The thing that I like about this game, and this might be very hard to describe, especially to someone who's never played it before, but I think the broadest way to say it is that I like the mechanics. Now, for someone who's played this game before, what I'm specifically talking about is I really like how both either as the dinosaur or as the players, but maybe especially as the human players, is how you have to think about your cards, because you are limited. Once you've played a card, it goes in your discard. It can also get burned, which means that you can never access it again. And once you run out of your 10 cards, that's it. You die.
Yeah, your cards are your health in this game.
So I like that mechanic because it is simple. It doesn't just sound simple, it is. But to get good at that is really difficult. And there's a time in the game where you have to decide, do I want to burn what's left in my hand, which means I don't ever get those back. But when I do so, I get to pick up my whole entire discard pile. And I just like the thought that has to go into that. I like the strategy behind that. I also like the strategy, or maybe just the fact that you're going to burn through characters. So you're not necessarily, like, the last time we played, I started with 2 characters, and Christian was the dinosaurs. I'm not going to probably not going to get those 2 characters off the island. But I'm going to be given a new character to then my only goal is to have 2 characters escape. And I do care about dying because then if he gets 3 kills, he wins.
Right.
But just that realization of like, oh, maybe I want to sacrifice this person because they're not doing so well right now. Like trying to weigh that balance of, do I give him a point and just start over? Like,
yeah, but how could you sacrifice Lex?
I know.
After she turns on the control center, you're going to let the little girl die?
I did not play Lex.
In order for Old Man Hammond to make it to the helicopter?
Tell who I played. I was fine with sacrificing the 2 that I played.
Oh, you were Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
Life Will Find a Way.
Yep.
And then Robert Muldoon.
Yep.
The Raptor Keeper.
Mm-hmm. And
not Trapper Keeper, but Raptor Keeper.
Not to be confused with the Trapper Keeper. And those 2 actually did escape. So
I got one of them.
Oh yeah, you ate one.
I did.
Never mind.
Delicious.
Okay, so that's one of the things that I do like. Can you think of anything you don't like, Christian?
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind, I guess not the only thing, is I feel like it's weighted heavily to the dinosaurs. I think being a human is very hard in this game, because the dinosaurs can eat you, which is just discarding a card and getting rid of your life. And so if I happen to discard a card that is essential to your goal, then you're screwed. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's where the sacrificing comes in.
Yep. Where you think better now than later, like than dealing with this for rounds when I know I can't survive anyway.
Right.
I also think it's hard to put a finger on, but it's the least thematic to me.
Really? I think this is one of the most. But I love Jurassic Park.
No, I love Jurassic Park too, but
I love it more.
No, I love it more. Okay, how do I describe this? There's something a little bit hokey about the dinosaurs. Like they're just not scary enough.
No, that's true. They are not scary. And one thing I wish with all my wishes is like a really good Jurassic Park game.
Yeah.
Whether I don't even know how it would work out or what it would be, but I would love to see a Jurassic Park game that just has like dinosaurs, miniatures, maybe bigger. I don't know what that would be, but I would be all over that. Like
I'm thinking I wanted it to look like, obviously like a dinosaur, but more like Mansions of Madness, like standees.
Yeah, like have
miniatures.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
These
not
were
meeples.
Yeah, and these were meeples with a dinosaur sticker on each side.
Yeah, they're just wooden dinosaur meeples, which is cool. I've thought about stealing our son's little tiny dinosaurs. The problem is that he doesn't have the right ones yet. He's got a T-Rex.
No.
And I think he has a raptor, but he doesn't have the spitter dinosaur. The Dilophosaur.
Yeah.
That has definitely crossed my mind, so
interesting.
There you go.
Interesting. It's interesting that you say that it's weighted towards the dinosaurs too, because I was trying to think of that the last time we played, and I don't know that I feel like it's unfair yet. So I'm not turned off by that. Like as playing the human characters and you playing the dinosaurs, if it were super unfairly weighted, I don't know that I'd want to play again. So as of yet, I am not super turned off by that.
Yeah, maybe we have to play it more. And I feel like it might be one of those games where if you make one little mistake, it could cost you, that character.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like little mistakes go a long way in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thinking through what you want to do and what you want on each turn. I don't know that this would be a really, accessible game for people that aren't used to strategy games.
Yeah, the card mechanic can get a little confusing. Even to us, like pulling it off the shelf after a while, it does take a little bit of a refresher to remember what we're doing.
Yes. And similar to kind of what we discussed in Jaws, maybe they could get what's going on, like what to do each turn, but can they be good at it? There's a lot to keep track of in terms of strategy.
It's true. But if they're like me, you'll never be good at a game. and you just played them. You just play them to have fun.
That's true. These games are, I think...
These are light games.
Yeah,
There's
they're
not
light.
a lot to them. You know, you can probably be fairly good after 4 plays. And that's all they kind of offer. There's nothing crazy deep to these games.
Right. Which might mean that, for me, they lose their luster after...
That's true.
A little bit. Because I do like a good challenge.
Yeah, and this is... I feel like they live up to the movie. You go to a movie to be entertained, and if you just want to have a little entertainment for the evening, this Jurassic Park or Jaws game is perfect.
Great point. Yeah, you just want to be entertained. This is walking through the movie on your table.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't think there's much to say more about Jurassic Park. It's my favorite of the 3. Your second favorite, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think Jaws would... My order might be Jaws, Villainous, Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And Villainous, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it except to say that I just want to see the characters.
Yeah, and I think it's got the solo play thing for you. Mm-hmm. And you see the puzzle and you try to solve it.
But they're all very close. Mm-hmm. No one's beaten any of the other games in a landslide.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you? What's your order?
The reverse order of what we talked about. So Jurassic's my favorite, and then Jaws, and then Villainous.
And then Villainous.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're looking for Jurassic Park, it's just a fun dinosaur game. If you're a fan of the movie, like Jaws, you'll enjoy this. It's a 30 to 40 minute game. It's nothing crazy. It's a good time.
Yes.
Pick it up if you can find it.
Absolutely.
Yep. I remember, quick story about finding this game. I was really excited again that this came out. I had to drive to like a Target that was like 30 minutes away because they were the only one that said they had it in stock. There are 3 Targets that are super close to us.
I don't remember this.
I had to drive to a whole nother city
wow.
to get it when our daughter was probably like 8 months old.
Well, that's why I probably don't remember that.
Yeah. And I took her because you were working, I think, or something.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Look at that.
All for Jurassic Park.
She has been immersed in the gaming as long as she knows.
Yep. Well, cool. Thanks for hanging in there with us during this segment. Villainous, Jaws, Jurassic Park, 3 Ravensburger games. Before we close it out, I just want to do a couple honorable mentions of Ravensburger games. Horrified is one that you may have seen on the store shelves. We have not played it. I heard it's pretty good.
I'm very intrigued because of my interest in Abomination.
Very true. And they have a Wonder Woman game that has just recently been released that I hear is pretty good too. That's the thing with these Ravensburger games, and I feel like they surprise us in a way because you go to Target or a Walmart and you don't expect to find a great game there. Right. You think of like Clue, Monopoly, Game of Life, like the classic Milton Bradley games.
Or kids games.
Yeah, so like the fact that they have these more involved games now is a good thing. And they're very good at what they do.
Yes.
So check them out. I don't think they're worth passing up. So, yeah.
Yes, they would make good additions to your shelf, depending on what you're looking for and what movies draw you in.
That's right. Oh, and they have a Back to the Future one coming.
Ooh.
So,
who knows? That was intriguing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably good. And
stay tuned.
It could be out right now because of time machines, and
oh my goodness.
You know how that movie goes.
It's mind-bending.
Well, that does it for us on this segment. So stick around. We'll be right back to wrap everything up.
This episode is sponsored by Show It. Hey Christian, why do we love Show It?
We love it because we are terrible at designing websites.
That is true.
And we were able to make our site using Show It in a couple hours.
Yeah, if you're stuck in like some boring website template, you need to check out Show It and experience what they have to offer. It's really simple. It's drag and drop. And our website, if you've never been there, is beautiful, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, we use Show It to make it, and you can get started for free. Showit.co. Check it out.
All right, we are back, and we know we normally take a whole segment to talk about what we learned about each other or our marriage. And with these 3 games, we definitely want to say something, but we didn't think it warranted like a whole entire segment.
Yeah.
Just because it's already a longer episode. But I will say we learned a lot of sacrificing for the other, as you can tell in the way we rated these games. Now, I think Jaws was second for both of us.
Yeah, I think...
No, Jaws was first for me and second for you.
That's true.
So our orders were completely different. And we had to have multiple nights where one of us knew a game was coming to the table that we already weren't excited for.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to find a place to dig deep and I mean, it sounds silly, but just not enter the game with a bad attitude.
Yeah, that was hard for me for Villainous because I knew that I just did not want to play that game. Mm-hmm. And I even won the last time we played it. And I was just like, okay, like, I won. Mm-hmm. Big deal.
Well, there's something to be said about doing that every now and then for the sake of the other people at the table or the other person, if it's just one other, bringing something to the table and putting on a good face.
Yeah, and I felt like when you played Jurassic Park, I couldn't sense that from you. I have a feeling that you could sense that from me with Villainous.
No,
but
because
maybe you didn't. You were in your own little
in my own world.
Prince John world trying to get a bunch of money. So yeah, I get it. It's weird.
And so you do hard things for the people you love.
That's right.
That's right. All right. So we are in our feedback section now, where we like to just shout out to our friends who've written us either through our website, marriedandbored.com, or they've chatted with us on Instagram at marriedandbored. And we're going to take a second and do that.
Our question in the last episode, which was about Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, was all about immersiveness because we felt that game was a fairly immersive experience. And so we're asking everyone, like, what do you look for in a board game that is immersive?
Or what can make it more immersive?
Yeah, a combination of that. Mm-hmm. So we did get one great response from @BoardGameOCD on Instagram. And he said that he feels like the game itself brings the most immersiveness to him. And then he can enhance that by either painting, if there's miniatures, or if it is an established universe, he likes to play the soundtrack to whatever movie or show the game's about.
Yeah, which would work for, well, all 3 we described, I was going to say, but maybe Villainous would be hard because there'd be multiple soundtracks.
Well, you just put a Disney playlist in. Yeah, if you're parents, you probably have that on save somewhere.
Yeah. There's I mean, not that I would know, but there's a Disney villain
soundtrack.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yes. So that is a good tip for the 3 games we talked about as well. All right. And then our question of this episode is...
Yeah, so I think what we want to ask is, because Angela and I had two games that we both didn't like and yet we played, like, what is one of those games for you? Is there a game that is popular out there that you just don't like and you have to, grin and bear when you play it? Just something like that, or the opposite. Is there one that you love to play and your group or your wife, significant other, they just don't enjoy it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, where do you feel like you're just constantly against the tide? Either
on either end.
Yeah. Either with like mass popularity or maybe just popularity in your own house.
Yeah, definitely. Like Villainous is a great example in this episode.
Yes, we feel like it's a very popular game. We're not totally on board that ship.
That's right. So they can reach us on Instagram, as always.
@marriedandbored.
Yeah, we have a website, marriedandbored.com, where you can listen to our podcasts and read, I think, 2 blog posts. We should probably...
Plenty of blog posts.
We should probably up our blog game a little bit. But definitely check out our website. You can also contact us there and answer this and any question that you may have. Reach out. Let us know what's up.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
And as always, thanks for listening. We hope everyone is safe, healthy, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you then. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Married and Bored podcast. And guess what? We have a website where you can listen to podcast episodes and so much more. Find us at marriedandbored.com, or you can email us at hello@marriedandbored.com, or follow us on Instagram @marriedandbored. Music in this episode is by Joseph McDade. See you next time.